Welcome to Lesson 2 of Week 11, focusing on workspace mechanics. This lesson addresses the practical aspects of using Grants.gov, including the critical roles required for submission and the workspace features that support collaborative application development. Federal grant submission involves specific organizational roles that control who can do what within the system. The Authorized Organization Representative, or AOR, has authority to submit applications on behalf of your organization. The e-business point of contact, or EBiz POC, manages your organization's relationship with Grants.gov. Understanding these roles and ensuring they are properly assigned is essential for successful submission. The workspace in Grants.gov provides a collaborative environment where multiple team members can work on an application simultaneously. Understanding how the workspace functions helps you coordinate efforts across your team and avoid common problems that arise from misunderstanding the system's capabilities. By the end of this lesson, you will understand the AOR and EBiz POC roles and their responsibilities. You will learn how to verify that your organization has proper role assignments. You will master the workspace interface for collaborative application development. You will know how to avoid common role and permission problems that prevent submission. Note that Grants.gov interfaces may be updated. Consult current user guides for the latest procedures. This lesson has 4 primary learning objectives. First, you will identify the key roles required for federal grant submission. The AOR and EBiz POC roles have specific responsibilities that must be fulfilled for your organization to submit applications successfully. Understanding what these roles do helps you ensure your organization is properly configured. Second, you will verify that your organization has proper role assignments before deadlines arrive. Role and permission problems discovered at the last minute cannot be resolved quickly. Checking your organizational setup well in advance prevents these preventable crises. Third, you will navigate the Grants.gov Workspace interface effectively. The workspace is where application development happens. Knowing how to access packages, complete forms, upload attachments, and manage your application in progress is essential for efficient work. Fourth, you will collaborate with team members using workspace features. Many applications involve multiple contributors. Understanding how the workspace supports collaboration helps your team work together effectively without creating conflicts or confusion. The Authorized Organization Representative, or AOR, plays the critical role in federal grant submission. Understanding this role helps you ensure your organization can submit when needed. The definition of an AOR is the person with legal authority to submit grant applications and bind the organization to the commitments contained in those applications. This is typically someone in organizational leadership, such as an executive director, vice president for research, or grants administrator with delegated authority. The AOR role carries significant responsibility. Unique authority means only the designated AOR can actually submit completed applications. Other team members can prepare applications, complete forms, and upload documents within the workspace. However, the final submission that sends the application to the funding agency requires the AOR. If your AOR is unavailable when you need to submit, you cannot submit. Certification responsibility means the AOR certifies that the organization agrees to comply with all requirements if funded. By submitting, the AOR attests that the organization meets eligibility requirements, will follow applicable regulations, and commits to the proposed work. This certification carries legal weight. Designation must be done formally within Grants.gov by the e-business point of contact. AOR authority is not automatic. Someone must actively designate which individuals have this authority for your organization. If no one is designated, or if the designated person has left the organization, submission is impossible. Following AOR best practices protects your organization from submission failures due to role problems. Multiple AORs should be designated for flexibility and backup. Having only one AOR creates a single point of failure. If that person is sick, on vacation, or leaves the organization, you cannot submit. Designating at least 2 or 3 AORs ensures someone is available when you need to submit. Availability planning ensures AOR availability during anticipated submission windows. When major deadlines approach, verify that at least one AOR will be available to submit. Account for vacations, conferences, and other commitments that might affect availability. Plan around known absences. Authority verification confirms AOR status remains current and active. People change roles, leave organizations, and have permissions expire. Periodically verify that your designated AORs still have active authority in the system. Do not discover permission problems when you need to submit. Communication keeps AORs informed of upcoming submission deadlines. AORs may have many responsibilities beyond grant submission. Ensure they know when submissions are planned so they can prioritize availability. Provide advance notice rather than last-minute requests that may conflict with other commitments. The e-business point of contact, or EBiz POC, manages your organization's relationship with Grants.gov at the administrative level. The definition of an EBiz POC is the person responsible for managing organizational access to Grants.gov. While AORs submit individual applications, the EBiz POC handles the organizational infrastructure that enables submission. This is typically someone in administration or grants management with ongoing responsibility for federal systems. Responsibilities include authorizing authorized organization representatives, managing user permissions for all staff who need system access, and maintaining accurate organizational information. When someone needs AOR authority, the EBiz POC grants it. When someone leaves or changes roles, the EBiz POC updates permissions. The SAM connection is important because the EBiz POC is designated during SAM.gov registration. Your organization's SAM registration identifies the EBiz POC, linking your organizational identity in the award management system to your Grants.gov account. This connection must be maintained accurately. The critical role of EBiz POC means that without an active person in this role, AORs cannot be authorized. If your EBiz POC leaves and the role is not transferred, you lose the ability to manage permissions. Ensure someone currently at your organization is designated and able to perform this function. Following EBiz POC best practices prevents administrative breakdowns that can halt your grant submission capability. Current designation means ensuring the designated EBiz POC is actually currently at your organization. When people leave, the EBiz POC designation does not automatically transfer. If the designated person departed months ago and no one updated the system, you have a problem that may take time to resolve. Succession planning means knowing how to transfer the EBiz POC role when personnel changes occur. The process for changing EBiz POC involves updating SAM.gov registration. Understand this process before you need it so transitions happen smoothly when staff changes occur. Regular review of EBiz POC information in SAM.gov catches problems before they become crises. Include EBiz POC verification in your regular organizational reviews of federal registration status. Confirm the designated person is still appropriate and that contact information is current. Documentation of who holds the EBiz POC role and how to contact them helps when questions arise. If someone needs to request AOR authorization and does not know who to contact, work stops. Clear documentation of this role facilitates smooth operations. Organizational registration requirements must be completed before your organization can submit federal grant applications. SAM.gov registration in the system for award management is required before you can apply for federal grants. This registration establishes your organization's identity in federal systems, collects required information about your organization, and connects to the Grants.gov submission system. Unique Entity Identifier, or UEI, is assigned through the SAM registration process. The UEI replaced the previously used DUNS number effective April 2022. This identifier appears on your applications and links your organization's information across federal systems. Every federal application requires your UEI. Registration timeline for initial SAM registration typically takes several weeks to complete. The process involves validation steps that cannot be rushed. If you discover you need to register while facing an imminent deadline, you may not complete registration in time. Begin registration well before you plan to apply. Annual renewal is required to maintain active SAM registration. Your registration expires after 1 year and must be renewed to remain valid. Letting registration lapse prevents you from submitting applications or receiving awards. Track your expiration date and renew proactively before expiration approaches. The Grants.gov Workspace provides the environment for developing and managing your grant applications. The purpose of the workspace is to provide a dedicated environment for each application you develop. Rather than working with downloaded forms that you later upload, the workspace keeps your application in the system throughout development. This approach provides validation, version control, and collaboration features. Access to a workspace is created when you choose to apply for a specific opportunity. Each opportunity you pursue has its own workspace. You can have multiple workspaces for different opportunities active simultaneously, keeping each application's materials organized separately. Features available in the workspace include completing required forms directly in the system, uploading attachment files such as your narrative documents, validating your application against requirements before submission, and collaborating with team members who also have access. The workspace consolidates application development activities in one location. Persistence means your work is saved and can be continued across sessions. You do not need to complete your application in one sitting. Work on forms, save your progress, and return later to continue. The workspace maintains your work until you submit or delete the application. Effective workspace navigation helps you move through application development efficiently. The application package section provides access to all forms and instructions for your specific opportunity. This is where you find what forms are required, what attachments are needed, and what instructions apply. Starting here orients you to what you need to complete. The Forms tab is where you complete required forms with built-in validation. Standard forms like the SF424 appear here, pre-populated with your organizational information where possible. As you complete forms, the system validates entries and alerts you to errors or missing information. Attachments section is where you upload narrative documents, letters of support, biosketches, and other files required by the application. The workspace specifies what attachments are required and accepts your file uploads. Pay attention to file format requirements and naming conventions specified in the instructions. Status indicators track completion status for each component of your application. These indicators show which forms are complete, which have errors, and which attachments have been uploaded. Using status indicators helps you ensure nothing is missed before submission. The workspace supports collaboration, allowing multiple team members to contribute to application development. Multiple users can access and work in the same workspace. When developing complex applications, different team members may be responsible for different sections. The workspace accommodates this by allowing multiple people to access the application in progress. Role-based access provides different permissions for different team members. Not everyone needs the same level of access. Some may need to complete forms, others may only need to upload attachments, and only the AOR can submit. Appropriate permissions match access to responsibilities. Simultaneous work means multiple people can work on different sections at the same time. While one person completes budget forms, another can upload narrative attachments. This parallel work accelerates application development when timelines are tight. Coordination outside the system remains necessary to avoid conflicts. The workspace does not have built-in communication tools. Teams should coordinate through email, meetings, or other channels to clarify who is working on what and when. Good coordination prevents duplicate work and conflicting edits. Validation and error checking features help ensure your application is complete and compliant before submission. Built-in validation checks your entries against requirements defined for each form and field. Required fields must be completed. Numeric fields must contain valid numbers. Dates must be in proper format. The system enforces these requirements throughout your work. Real-time feedback flags errors as you work, allowing immediate correction. When you enter invalid data or skip a required field, the system alerts you right away. This immediate feedback helps you maintain a clean application rather than accumulating errors to fix later. Pre-submission check performs full validation before final submission. Even if individual forms validated correctly, the complete application is checked as a whole. This comprehensive check catches issues that might only appear when all components are assembled. Error resolution requires time, which is why early submission matters. When validation identifies problems, you need time to understand the issue, make corrections, and resubmit. Discovering errors at the deadline leaves no time for resolution. The validation features protect you, but only if you leave time to respond to what they find. Awareness of common workspace problems helps you avoid them or respond effectively when they occur. Session timeout can log you out after extended inactivity, potentially losing recent work that was not saved. Save your work frequently rather than relying on automatic saving. If you need to step away, save first. Be aware of timeout limits and stay active within them. Browser issues affect some users more than others. Grants.gov provides guidance on recommended browsers and versions. If you experience problems, try a different browser before assuming the system is at fault. Keep your browser updated to current versions for best compatibility. File upload errors occur when attachments fail due to file size exceeding limits, file format not matching requirements, or file naming that includes prohibited characters. Review attachment requirements carefully and test uploads early in your process rather than waiting until the deadline to discover problems. Permission conflicts arise when multiple users try to edit the same section simultaneously. While the workspace supports multiple users, concurrent editing of identical content creates conflicts. Coordinate with team members about who is working on what to avoid overwriting each other's work. Understanding the submission process helps ensure successful completion of your application. Pre-submission review verifies all components are complete and validated before attempting to submit. Check that all forms show complete status, all required attachments are uploaded, and no validation errors remain. A thorough review prevents submission failures that require correction and resubmission. A OR action is required for final submission. Only the designated authorized organization representative can perform the actual submission. Other team members who develop the application cannot submit it themselves. Ensure the AOR is available and prepared to submit when the application is ready. Submission confirmation from the system provides a confirmation number upon successful submission. Record this number immediately. It proves you submitted and serves as a reference for any subsequent communications about your application. Save or print the confirmation screen. Post-submission tracking monitors your application status as it is processed by Grants.gov and forwarded to the funding agency. The system provides status updates as your application moves through processing stages. Check status periodically after submission to ensure processing proceeds normally and to catch any issues that arise. Troubleshooting role and access issues requires systematic verification and adequate time for resolution. Verify registrations first when access problems occur. Confirm your sam.gov registration is current and not expired. Verify your Grants.gov account is active and properly linked to your organization. Expired or incomplete registrations cause access failures. Check role assignments to ensure the AOR and EBiz POC are properly designated. If you cannot submit, verify that someone with AOR authority is available and that their authorization is current. If AOR authorization has expired or was never completed, the EBiz POC must address this. Contact support when you cannot resolve issues yourself. Grants.gov provides support resources including documentation, FAQs, and direct assistance. When you encounter problems you cannot solve, reach out to support with specific details about what you are trying to do and what errors you receive. Plan ahead because role issues take time to resolve. Changing EBiz POC designations, authorizing new AORs, or resolving registration problems cannot be done instantly. If you discover role problems the day of the deadline, resolution may be impossible. Check your organizational setup well in advance. Let us summarize the key points from this lesson on workspace mechanics. The AOR and EBiz POC roles are essential for federal grant submission. The AOR has unique authority to submit applications on behalf of your organization. The EBiz POC manages organizational access and authorizes AORs. Both roles must be properly filled for your organization to submit successfully. Workspace mastery enables efficient application development. Understanding how to navigate the workspace, complete forms, upload attachments, collaborate with team members, and use validation features helps you develop applications effectively. Familiarity with the workspace before deadline pressure makes the process smoother. Advanced preparation prevents last-minute crises. Verify that your SAM registration is current, that AOR and EBiz POC roles are properly assigned, and that necessary permissions are in place well before submission deadlines. Role and access problems take time to resolve that you will not have if you discover them at the deadline. In our next lesson, we will cover the SF4-24 cover sheet. You will learn line-by-line instructions for completing this standard federal form that appears on nearly all federal grant applications. Practice exercise. Log into Grants.gov and verify your organization's registration status. Confirm who is designated as EBiz POC. Identify your designated AORs and verify their authorization is current. If you find any gaps or problems, begin addressing them now rather than when a deadline is imminent.